Sam and I raced up the stairs of the tower, hearing the echoed cries and clashes of steel bouncing off the stone walls. My heart began to race as the sound of weapons meeting stopped with Diana screaming.
Enough!
Sam and I finally reached the top, staring wide-eyed at the sight of Demon Lord and Diana. The Demon Lord had Diana's throat in a hard grip as his other hand gripped onto her wings, her fingers digging into them roughly. We could barely react. Oh, his fingers digging in there. Okay. We could barely react as the Demon Lord ripped them off Diana's back by pulling Diana's body in the opposite direction. Ow. The Demon Lord, basking in his success, lifted the torn wings to his mouth and let the blood dribble from the open wounds onto his tongue. I fought to not gag at the sight. Sam, however, shouted and made the room shake with his voice. His rage showed his feelings clearly, despite seeing the one who fathered him after years of separation.
Hey, shithead!
The Demon Lord instantly peered over. Locking his eyes onto Sam's form, Sam began to step forward. Apparently with a new challenger, the Demon Lord licked his lips and tossed Diana to the side. Diana landed with a hard thud and slid across the floor, slamming against one of the stone frames that kept the stained glass of the room together. On her back were two large open wounds that weren't healing or fading away into her body like I expected. Diana!
Go check on her. This bastard is mine.
Sam continued to walk forward as I nodded and rushed over to Diana. She struggled to push herself onto her hands, falling back onto the floor in failure as I approached. I gotcha. Hold on.
Settle.
Before my eyes, a small white light flashed beside us, revealing Seto. He quickly looked around before he looked down at Diana and rushed to his knees beside her.
Isaiah!
I got on my knees and helped Diana get up onto hers, seeing her worn and tired face. As she got up, she instantly fell to the side into Seto's arms. Seto quickly wrapped his arms around Diana and kissed her head, most likely trying to feed her energy to heal. Her back wounds, despite the energy, were still not closing. All across her body were slash marks and bruises from the intense struggle, but I knew already that she had put up a good fight. Now it was Sam's turn. The Demon Lord raised his arms to his sides, visually challenging his new opponent with... The Demon Lord raised his arms to his sides, visually challenging his new opponent with a wide smirk on his face and a scowl in his eyes.
So you want to die too? I always knew you were a disgrace. I've waited a long time to kick your ass.
Sam glared hard at the Demon Lord before reaching up and summoning his sword. As he did, flames began to quickly engulf his body, twisting and shaping into multiple dragons that brought surprise and fear into the Demon Lord's eyes.
You will burn and fall into the darkest depths of the abyss where you belong.
The Demon Lord, however, snarled and summoned his own blade, ready to battle. There was no more room to place threats. Their blades would speak for them now. Sam and the Demon Lord rushed at each other, arching their blades at each other and slamming their swords together. As they clashed, red lightning and wildfire shot out from the impact between them. This did not deter Sam and the Demon Lord from slashing and swinging again at each other, parrying over and over with murderous vigor. It was like watching fireworks go off in a massive storm. The flames around Sam began to circle around him and the Demon Lord, forming an inescapable ring around them. This was going to be a battle to the death, by flame or by sword. Neither opponent seemed to hold anything back.
How? How did you get this power? It doesn't matter how! All you need to know is that I'm gonna use it to kill you!
The Demon Lord grabbed a hold of Sam's sword and kicked Sam's hand to make him release it. However, as the sword left Sam's hand, it vanished and reappeared in Sam's grip, as if it belonged there. Using the opportunity, Sam slashed at the Demon Lord and carved a deep line into the Demon Lord's chest. The Demon Lord stepped back, gripping his chest, as, before my eyes, the skin around the wound began to burn and release black smoke. The Demon Lord snarled in reply, swinging his sword again at Sam.
You're dead!
The Demon Lord pummeled a barrage of slashes and swipes at Sam with his sword, only to be blocked and parried each time. I felt a hopeful smile grow on my face. We were going to win. Strange excitement of the situation filled my body with joy. I was going to go home and be with my family and friends and live in the human world. Sam and I were going to live happily ever after, and this was the door to get us there. We're gonna go home. Sam and the Demon Lord jumped away from each other, glaring hard at one another as they began to circle each other.
Weak brat. Needing the power of a dragon to defeat me?
You don't fucking get it, do you? I don't just have the power of a dragon.
My eyes couldn't believe what I was seeing. A pair of wings wreathed in flame suddenly erupted from Sam's back, lifting him into the air. Sam's voice boomed through the air, filled with magic, rage, and power.
I am a dragon!
Sam raised his sword, causing it to become engulfed in red and green flame, before swinging it down onto the Demon Lord. As it clashed with the Demon Lord's sword, a burst of flame erupted from between the blades. Each block, the Demon Lord had caused another and another burst to explode in his sight. Sparks and flame licked violently against his skin as he tried to defend himself from the dragon that was Sam. Soon enough, even the Demon Lord couldn't defend anymore. Sam knocked the Demon Lord's sword away, causing it to slide against the floor outside of the ring of fire.
Now! It's over!
Sam swooped at the Demon Lord and jammed his blade into the Demon Lord's chest, making his resounding gasp of pain echo through the flames. The Demon Lord's eyes wavered, staring at the far wall as the flames around them began to die out. Black and red smoke rose from the blade, dancing around the Demon Lord's body and dissipating into the air above.
Goodbye, old man.
Sam gripped his sword with both hands and yanked the sword out of his father's body, making the Demon Lord arch back before falling forward. Smoke continued to rise and engulf the Demon Lord's body, as if it were beginning to cremate itself after death. As the Demon Lord let out his last breath, silence at last engulfed the room, only interrupted by the sound of Sam's labored breathing. It was over. It was finally over. I could feel tears well up in my eyes as the situation sank into my body, causing me to place my hands on the floor and stare into the dark marble. We did it. We really did it. I looked to Sam, seeing him land softly on the ground while his wings vanished into clouds of smoke. As he turned to me, I could see exhaustion hit his body like a tidal wave. One step towards me brought him crashing down to his knees. Sam! Before I could even stand to run to him, Sam lifted his hand, laughing tiredly.
I'm fine. Calm down.
You freak out when I do that, but when you do it, it's no big deal. I relaxed for a moment, relieved to know that he was all right. I felt myself let out a sigh as I heard Diana chuckle beside me.
He wore you out that fast? You're not as tough as you look, brute.
Sam chuckled and raised a middle finger at Diana, curling his shoulders over himself as he tried to breathe and relax from the whole ordeal. I felt myself laugh as I took in the situation as well. The war was over. It was...
I won't be the only one who dies here.
His whispered voice barely reached my ears. It couldn't be. I looked over, horrified, as I saw the Demon Lord, barely pushing up on his hands, glared at me through the smoke surrounding him with crazed, almost psychotic eyes. As he suddenly pointed his hand at me, everyone else had only just turned around to see him.
Die!
Within a mere breath of a second, a line of red lightning was fired straight at me from his outstretched hand. I didn't have time to react. I didn't have time to think. Time seemed to move in slow motion as the red bolt inched closer to my body, about to make impact with my sternum. Sam, despite his speed, wasn't fast enough to stop its journey towards my chest. I could see my life flash before my eyes. It was over.
No!
I felt my body being pushed violently to the side, away from the incoming attack. I turned my head as I was pushed and stared wide-eyed at who was pushing me away. With a crash, the window behind us shattered, and with Diana flying out of it. Diana, who had been beside me the entire fight, stared at the incoming attack as she took my place in its trajectory. There was no time to shout back. There wasn't any time to stop it from happening. I could only watch as the ray slammed against Diana's chest and forced her body backwards into the stained glass behind us. My gaze followed Diana's body, seeing her look to me with a sad, teary-eyed smile. There were no words that could be said as she flew into the air. There was no way to grab her and pull her back. All I could do was watch as Diana's body arched back and plummeted downwards towards the decaying sea below. She no longer had her wings, so she couldn't fly to save herself.
Any creature unfortunate enough to fall into that cursed stretch of water will be doomed to sink into an endless black void. They can never die due to the dark magic in the water, but they can never come back up. There's no saving them.
No! I reached out, despite the futility of it, towards Diana and watched her sink through the air as gravity took hold. I barely had time to blink as a figure ran past my body and pushed off the ledge of the window, zipping straight toward Diana's body.
Isaiah!
Sero, face pale as snow, had projected his body towards her and had managed to wrap his arms around her form, causing her to cling to him. Both demons, however, plummeted down towards the dark waters, quickly vanishing from sight. I couldn't even see the splash their bodies made as they hit the water's surface. Diana! I gripped the edge of the tower, not believing what I was seeing. This couldn't have been real. Diana and Sero were gone? Even as Sero called her name? Even as magic was on their side? How could they be gone? The garbled noise of the demon lord's throat being impaled barely caused me to turn and see Sam ram his sword through his father's neck. At last the demon lord fell, lifeless for sure. However, my vision became obscured by tears. I watched behind a veil of tears as Sam rushed over to me and wrapped his arms around me, pulling me close and laying my head on his shoulder.
Are you okay?
I could barely even utter a no or shake my head. I buried my face into Sam's shoulder, gripping to him as the sight of Diana falling burned itself into my memory. I felt something in my soul lift and disappear, but I couldn't care less. I heard the heavy sounds of footsteps rush towards us, but I didn't lift my head up.
Sam!
Wait, where's...
Diana and Sarah were gone.
Gone?
They fell into the sea.
I felt Sam nod, still hugging me tightly. He held my head close to him as he spoke for us.
Diana saved her from that bastard's last attack. The guard jumped after her.
A sad silence engulfed the room. What could have been said? The demon lord was defeated, but the rebellion had lost its queen. For a moment the world felt dark and cold, as if the war had been lost alongside Diana despite the rebellion obtaining victory. I gripped onto Sam, feeling deep sadness for the entire situation. Diana saved my life, sheltered me, and fell into a seemingly endless sea because of me. Sam, feeling my anguish, tightened his embrace around me and let me bury my face in his chest. The war had ended at last, but now we didn't know where to go. At least, that's what I thought. Sam gently loosened his embrace around me and looked to the remaining rebel demons with a hard gaze. I looked up, wiping my eyes in confusion. What was wrong now?
Will you all honor her words?
Her... words? Wait, she gave it to you?
What? There was more? What did Sam mean? Faye looked to her companions as they stared at Sam in shock.
Well, we don't have much of a choice, do we?
We can't exactly refuse the Lord of Dragons.
I looked up at Sam, feeling completely lost. Sam looked down at me and helped me stand before releasing my body and stepping away from me. With a sigh, he looked down at the floor. Sam?
Diana made me promise something. If she died, then...
Sam looked at his brother in nervousness. Sam looked to his brothers in nervousness. I looked over as well to see them confused, but ushering him to continue before turning back to Sam and holding his hands. Then what?
If she died, then I'd step in for the rebellion and take the throne.
I stared wide-eyed at Sam. What? Sam was now the leader of the rebellion? What of the others? I looked to the other rebel leaders to see them bow their heads to Sam, answering my mental question and causing me to look back at my fiancé. What about us? Would Sam leave me? Would he make me stay? Did that make me a queen? Did that mean I had to stay no matter what? We had to stay? What about the human world? Sam, almost feeling my nervousness in my hands, grasped them and gently pulled me to him.
Look, I made a promise to her, but I'm yours first. If taking the throne means leaving you, then I'd rather burn it.
Hey!
Sam. His eyes burned in my gaze, showing me his utter devotion. He was serious about needing to take it, but I knew that he would never leave me or force me away from him. Sam gently rubbed my hands with his thumbs and stared down at them.
So, I'm leaving the choice up to you. The Demon Lord's dead, so we can go back and live normal lives and whatever in the human world.
Or we can stay and rule the demon world? Sam nodded, affirming my assumption. It was a lot to take in. I wasn't sure how to respond. The dream of me looking back to see my family and friends began to haunt me. If I stayed, I would never be able to see them again. More than that, would the demon world even accept a human queen? Would I have to become a demon or something? Sam nodded as Shadow stepped up.
Naturally, demons would never accept a human as their ruler. Besides, while it is impossible for a demon to be separated from their magic and become human, the same isn't the case the other way around.
We'd be able to turn you into a succubus, a demon of Lilith, as they were originally formed from a being who was once human before.
So I would be a succubus if I stayed? But I'd be ripping myself away from my family, my friends. Was it fair to them? Was it fair to me? What about my family and friends? Sam lowered his head as James stepped forward.
If you decide to stay, then we would be tasked with asking angels to remove any memories of you from the human world.
My heart dropped. My parents, my friends, anyone who knew me would forget? It would be for the best, but to think that I would no longer exist for them made my eyes water slightly. I wasn't sure what to say. I felt myself freeze in place, unsure whether to run back into the light of the human world or stay in the dark of the demon world. I could feel the situation sink hard into my stomach, but I knew I had to make a choice. Thoughts of Diana pushing me away from the Demon Lord's final attack replayed in my head, reminding me that she gave her life for me when she was meant to take up the responsibility of having the world on her shoulders. Sam gripped my hands tightly, causing me to gaze up into his eyes.
I know this is a big decision, but just know that whatever you choose, I'll be with you no matter what.
Well, you better. I stared up at him, seeing an endless world of love buried within his emerald irises. He would put me first no matter what, but what would I choose? My family and friends were important to me, but this world became important too. I closed my eyes, remembering my grandfather's words. You should do what makes you happy. I opened my eyes and smiled at Sam, my heart finally reaching a decision. I want